How to spot hidden opportunities in altcoins. We're going to be talking about a very common pattern and very specific pattern you guys should see in this market and train your eyes to see because this is a very powerful pattern, especially after an extensive downtrend. This pattern is usually in favor of a reversal, something to definitely be paying attention to. Also, is there going to be a major bounce for crypto, especially after yesterday's pullback because Bitcoin dumped all the way down to about 102K? Will there be a bounce sometime soon? Something to be very much paying attention to right now because Bitcoin is the driver of this market. If Bitcoin pumps, very good for the altcoins, and if Bitcoin dumps, very bad for the altcoins. That's why when I trade altcoins, I always have the Bitcoin chart in the back of my head. Now, we're also going to be getting into some altcoin setups, which I know that's what you guys are here for. Going to be taking a look into Polyhedria Network, which is ZKJ. What has gone on since that dump that has happened a couple of days ago. Also going to be taking a look into Internet Computer, ICP, and Aerodrome, AERO token and see what's going on in this market. All right, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'll react to a few pieces of headline for you guys on the crypto markets, major crypto markets first, because I know you guys will find it interesting. All right, this is News BTC, Bitcoin price breakdown spurs sell-off. Analyst reviews what will happen if Bitcoin hits 92,800. Okay, I think that's very far off. I mean, I think some of these headlines are just kind of ridiculous because it's just so far off. That's almost like me saying what will happen if Bitcoin hits 115K. I mean, that is probably a closer target. Um, because we have quite a bit of moving averages underneath Bitcoin right now that could be acting as support, right? And I mean, it's not impossible that Bitcoin falls back to 93K, but there's going to be quite a bit of moving averages, including the daily 200 that's right underneath, that's between now and then, right? And that's coming up slowly, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to pay attention too much into detail about headlines like this because I have formed my own opinions based on what I'm seeing on the charts here, but it's kind of I mean, yeah, it's a far shot for 93K here. All right, this one is by Crypto Potato. Uh, the Bitcoin price slides to 103K as major altcoins crash. Weekend watch. I do think this weekend is a weekend to be watching what's going to be happening because Bitcoin is very close to a major support, which is the 3-day 21 SMA, currently at about 103K as well. Okay. That support has been usually giving Bitcoin a bounce, and I'll show you guys later in the charts. And with when Bitcoin bounces, of course, that's good for the altcoins. Next one, this is by News BTC. Bitcoin may surprise bears. 100K to 110K range shows rising short interest. Now, I'm not really paying attention too much into the short interest here. I'm just going to react to the headline based on what I know about the charts. And I'm going to say the same thing. We're very close to a major support, which is 3-day 21 SMA. And that has provided a pretty good bounce even in the last time Bitcoin has touched down to that support. And I'll show you guys right now. I'm still very bullish on this market. I am long on quite a bit of altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. So that is my opinion, and that's my speculation. Of course, none of what I'm saying here in this video is financial advice. Do your own due diligence. Next piece of headline here, Bitcoin sees modest gains, but demand weakness limits breakout potential. Just by reacting to this headline here and not exactly getting too much into detail, I mean, yeah, we're seeing a pretty good bounce back from yesterday's dump. We are still trying to, I mean, so I've talked about a symmetrical triangle pattern for the last couple of days, and that's usually a pattern that favors the direction before the formation of the pattern. In this case would be up, right? Now, I don't see a solid breakdown of that pattern yet, okay? So in my opinion, we have not broken down from that pattern just yet. So the price action of Bitcoin could actually still end up back in that pattern. And it could still be a very bullish pattern here that we're seeing. All right, let's come back to the charts here, and I will show you guys what I'm talking about. Bitcoin chart here, 3-day time frame here. Okay, we still have a symmetrical triangle pattern. The bears are actually trying to break down from this pattern here, but that is not a solid candle close. Okay, I don't consider a non-solid candle close for a breakdown like that to be a breakdown. And in my opinion here, the symmetrical triangle pattern, which is still a bullish pattern here, is still valid. What I'm talking about as the next key support to be paying attention to is the 3-day 21 SMA, the blue line here, currently at about just right underneath 103K. Now, gonna be for your reference, okay, if you guys don't have TradingView, right, you guys need to get TradingView. I highly recommend that you guys use TradingView to learn how to trade and to learn technical analysis. Without it, you're basically you're gonna have a lot of blindsiding. That's that's not good, right? If you guys don't have TradingView, I do have an affiliate link in the description section below. If you guys use my link to sign up, I will get a commission, and you guys will be supporting my channel, and thank you very much. Okay, so right here, right now, the 3-day 21 SMA, if you guys refer back to December 2024, it has actually gave the price action a pretty good bounce that went from about 92,000 to about 102,000. And if you guys could back test previous touchdowns to this moving average, you guys would probably find some pretty good bounces most of the time. Okay, more likely than not. Okay, and we are about to touch down on it. Would this candle actually break back into that pattern? If so, I am going to invalidate this breakdown and probably rechart a new pattern here. And that's going to be looking good for the altcoins. Of course, got to consider the downside as well. If we don't get a good bounce here, then the next key level of support is going to be probably about the daily 200, and that would bring us down to about at least as a moving average, that would bring us right now to about 96K, but I think that's less likely to happen, just my personal opinion. All right, let's take a look into a shorter time frame for Bitcoin. Okay, it's very important to talk about Bitcoin right now because it is at a major bounce level. Okay, and hourly time frame. Okay, there is a falling wedge right here. If this price action can break back above, break out of this falling wedge, that would have the price action end up back into that symmetrical triangle pattern. And let's just talk about yesterday's breakdown here. Yesterday's breakdown, I think the sharpest breakdown was from about 104K, which Bitcoin has been around for quite some time. 104K all the way down to about 102K. If we can actually reclaim that level, 104K ish on this hourly time frame with some solid hourly candle closes, that would start to look a lot better for Bitcoin. And of course, looking for if you're a bull, you want to see a breakout of this falling wedge pattern on the hourly time frame. Let's go ahead and jump to some altcoin setups here. ZKJ, what has happened with ZKJ? Okay, there's been more downside with ZKJ here. And let's talk about this major dump here. Okay, I've talked about this pattern. Falling wedge pattern, a very common pattern you guys will see, especially after an extensive downside. In this case, it has been very extensive. And I usually like looking into these patterns for opportunities. It's not 100% that I'm going to get into a position, depending on my situation, right? How much dry powder I have, how much margin do I need to cover certain leverage positions, because I like trading leverage as well, right, for short term positions. Um, so this is a falling wedge pattern. If ZKJ is actually able to bounce back from this dump, then we have a price target of about $4.70 right now. Okay, and if of course this breaks out of this pattern here, which the bulls usually breaks out of a falling wedge pattern. Now, price targets are estimates only. Okay, it's not 100% that if you break out of a certain pattern that you're gonna just smooth sail to a price target. There has been fake outs. There has been shortfalls of breakouts, and of course, there you also got to consider breakdowns of these patterns, right? Even though it usually breaks to the upside. Now, it is very close to the bottom trend line of this falling wedge pattern, so very important to see what it's going to do. If it actually breaks down, then, and if you guys want to keep seeing ZKJ, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I will bring you guys an update on the charts, regardless if it breaks to the upside or if it breaks this pattern. Now, let's zoom in a little bit to get a little bit more clarity and see what this coin could be doing. Daily time frame, severely oversold. This is on the RSI. RSI reading of just about 1. That's crazy. And there is a possible bullish divergence scenario here. Basically, that's basically telling you that the bears are losing strength, at least according to this candle here, because you might get a lower low, but on the RSI you're getting a higher low. That's called bullish divergence. It usually means that there is going to be a reversal or a bounce at least. Okay, how big that bounce is, you really gotta just chart it on the lower time frames to get more clarity. Let's come over here to zoom in some more. Okay, ZKJ zooming in some more. There was bullish divergence on 12-hour as well, as you guys can see. It gave a little bit of a bounce there, but not too big of one. There's possibly going to be another bullish divergence scenario coming up. Let's see what kind of bounce that's going to give. So that's basically what I'm looking at for Polyhedria Network. Let's take a look into let's take a look into ICP, see what's going on in this market. Weekly time frame for ICP. Again, falling wedge pattern, right? Price target out of this pattern, if it breaks out by that point, it's going to be about $25 ICP, which is still pretty amazing. Is it going to be smooth going there? It doesn't look like it, right? Now, it is also very close to the bottom trend line of this pattern, and if this price action drops, again, it's going to be a pretty steep one, because I see the bottom trend line as being about $3.70, and it could continue lower because it slopes downwards. Okay, it is at the weekly 21 SMA as resistance at about $5.70. And what else are we looking at? Daily time frame. Now, I want to talk about that there was a falling wedge pattern breakout recently. You guys can check my last ICP video. It broke out and it basically broke back into the pattern, so I invalidated that last pattern, and right now it has formed a smaller falling wedge pattern. And if it actually breaks out by this point here, the estimate, okay, it's about $5.90 if it breaks out of this falling wedge pattern. All right, next one, let's talk about Aerodrome, see what's going on in this market. Okay, it is at the daily 200 SMA as resistance. It's trying to get above it, currently about 87 cents, the orange line here. Let's also just zoom out a little bit. Weekly time frame, like I've been saying, falling wedge pattern. It's going to be a very common pattern that you guys should not miss. Price target out of this pattern is going to be about $4.25 Aerodrome. Okay, if it breaks out by that point, Let's zoom in a little bit more to get some clarity. 4-hour time frame, rising wedge pattern. That is going to be a bearish pattern. It works just the inverse of a falling wedge pattern, except rising wedges tend to break to the downside. Okay. Rising wedge breakdown target is going to be about 67 cents Aerodrome. There's going to be quite a bit of moving averages in between right now and that breakdown target that could act as support or possible bounces. Okay. So that's basically what I'm looking at for AERO. Pretty simple charts. All right. And this basically wraps up for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comment section below. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll pick one request to do for you guys every day. I'll see you guys on the next video.